Here's the truth that most men don't want to admit. A woman never feels your presence until she feels your absence. Let that sink in. We live in a time where men are told to chase, to overcommunicate, to prove their worth to women who haven't even earned their loyalty yet. But here's the harsh reality. When you're too available, you become forgettable. And when you disappear, suddenly you become unforgettable. Sounds twisted, right? But that's exactly how female psychology works. A woman doesn't start missing you the moment you leave. No. She starts noticing you once your energy is no longer feeding her ego. When the constant attention fades, when the texts stop, when she opens her phone and doesn't see your name, that's when the psychological shift begins. But let's get something straight. This isn't about playing childish games or trying to manipulate emotions. This is about understanding the way desire works. Because what sparks emotional attraction in women isn't presence. It's mystery, uncertainty, and space. Absence creates value. The problem is, most men sabotage themselves by never allowing that space to exist. They fear being forgotten, so they overcompensate. But women don't crave men who chase. They crave men who have the power to walk away and actually mean it. Now, if you've ever wondered what a woman truly feels when you're gone, emotionally, psychologically, even physically, then you're about to understand something that most guys will never figure out. Because in this video, we're diving deep into female psychology during your absence. From how her mind starts questioning her worth, to the silent battles she fights between ego and emotion, and why distance can make you 10 times more attractive without saying a word. This isn't about bitterness. This isn't about revenge. This is about power. Quiet power, masculine power. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how your absence can speak louder than any words, and why it often makes a bigger impact than your presence ever could. Let's begin. 1. She doesn't miss you. At first, let's break a dangerous myth. Women do not start missing you the second you disappear. In fact, many women feel a strange sense of relief at first, especially if you've been overly available, too predictable, or emotionally invested more than she was. In her mind, your absence isn't a loss, it's control. It means she has space to breathe, to feel powerful, to feel unbothered. This is the phase where her ego takes over. She tells herself, he'll be back, they always come back. And the worst part? She might even enjoy the silence at first. Not because she doesn't care about you, but because she assumes she's the one in control of the story. This is where most men screw it all up. They panic. They think her silence means she doesn't care. So they rush back, text her, call her, try to check in. And that's exactly what confirms to her that you were never a challenge. You were predictable, easy, and most importantly, replaceable. But if you stay silent, if you resist the urge to reappear too soon, that's when the shift starts to happen. Because the longer she expects you to come back and you don't, the more confused she becomes. That confusion turns into questions. Those questions turn into emotions. And that's when she finally starts to feel your absence. Not as space, but as loss. But that doesn't happen immediately. So remember, her not missing you right away is not the end. It's just the beginning of a very powerful psychological journey. 2. Her ego thinks you'll come back. Here's something that will shock a lot of men. When you go silent, she doesn't panic. Her ego gets louder. The first thing her mind tells her is this: he'll be back. He always comes back. They all do. This is not about love. It's about power. You see, women, especially the ones who are used to attention, get a psychological high from being desired. It's not about whether they like you back. It's about knowing you still want them. That's what fuels the ego. That's what keeps her feeling validated. So when you pull away, her first instinct is not sadness, it's certainty that you'll come crawling back. Because most men do. They break no contact. They send a just checking in text. They post something to get her attention. And every time a man does that, it confirms what her ego already believes. He needs me more than I need him. But here's where things get interesting. When you don't come back, When you maintain your silence with calm, controlled indifference, her ego starts to break, because what she thought she could predict no longer works. Now her mind starts asking questions like, why isn't he chasing? Has he replaced me? Was I not as special as I thought? That's when the tables turn. Her ego starts to doubt itself. And when her ego cracks, real emotions start to creep in. That's the key. It's not about making her miss you right away. It's about making her question her own worth through your absence. 3. She tests your silence. At some point during your absence, she won't just sit back and wonder. She'll test you. Why? Because your silence is starting to mess with her sense of control. It's no longer fun. It's no longer predictable. And now, she wants to see if you're really gone. But here's the trick most men miss. These tests are subtle. She's not going to come out and say, "Hey, I miss you." No, that would give you the power. Instead, she'll throw bait. A random like on your post, a mistaken text, a song shared on her story that reminds you of her. Maybe even a message like, "Hey, just wondering how you're doing." That's not vulnerability. That's strategy. She's not reaching out because she truly misses you. She's reaching out to see if you still do. If you take the bait too fast, if you respond too eagerly, it confirms to her that you were just waiting. And boom, you lose your power again. This is where most men fail. They think any attention from her is a green light to return full force. But what they don't realize is that she's still playing defense. She's still trying to make sure she stays in control of the dynamic. So what should you do? Understand the test for what it is, a signal that your silence is starting to work. She's feeling the tension. She's wondering why you're not reacting. And now, she's trying to break that silence to soothe her ego. Your job is to stay calm. Stay centered. Don't react emotionally. Respond with strength, or don't respond at all. Show her that your silence is not a cry for attention. It's a reflection of your self-respect. Because here's the truth. When a woman starts testing your silence, it means she's no longer certain she has you. And the moment she feels that uncertainty is the moment she starts valuing you more. Not because you chased, but because you didn't. 4. She checks if you've moved on. At first, she doesn't care what you're doing. She assumes she's still in your head. But when your silence starts to stretch, her curiosity turns into investigation. Quietly, she starts watching, checking, searching for signs. Has he moved on? Is he talking to someone else? Does he look happier without me? Now here's the controversial truth. Women are far more emotionally observant than most men realize. She'll notice if your energy has changed. She'll feel it if your attention has shifted. And she will absolutely do her silent research. Stories, followers, likes, mutual friends, even your captions. And this is the part where most men blow it, because they haven't actually moved on. They're still obsessing, still overthinking, still living their life around her absence, instead of living like a man who values himself with or without her. Wake up. You think you're waiting patiently, playing the silent game. But if your energy still screams, "I'm waiting for you," she'll feel it. And guess what? That confirms her power. That proves to her that she can walk away and you'll still be there. But when a woman sees that you've truly let go, not pretending, not posting thirst traps or fake stories, but genuinely detached, that's when it hits her. Because nothing scares a woman more than realizing a man is fine without her. You see, your absence alone doesn't make her panic. It's your ability to emotionally disconnect that sends the signal. When she senses that your peace doesn't depend on her, that you're not just moving on, but evolving, it disrupts everything she thought she knew about you. And here's the hard truth. If you're still stuck in your head about her, she wins. If your life is still on pause, she wins. If you're still checking her page but hoping she checks yours, she wins. But when you stop checking, when you stop caring, when you really move forward, that's when the dynamic flips, and she starts chasing answers in silence. 5. She wonders if you were ever serious. Here's a wild truth. Your silence doesn't just make her miss you. It makes her question everything that happened before it. Women are emotional processors. When the talking stops, the thinking begins. And one of the first things her mind does is rewind, replaying all your words, your actions, your promises. And guess what she starts wondering? Was any of it even real? She starts questioning if you actually meant what you said, if you really cared, if you were actually invested, or just saying things to keep her around. And you know why she does this? Because your silence disrupts her emotional story. If you were the guy who used to call, text, show up, reassure her, and now suddenly you're gone, she feels emotionally abandoned. And instead of owning her part in it, she rewrites the story. She tells herself, maybe you were just playing a role. Maybe you didn't love her like she thought. Maybe it was all temporary. But here's what most men forget. She's not doing this because she's over you. She's doing it because she's still emotionally attached. She's trying to make sense of your distance, and the only way her ego can protect her is by doubting you. Now here's your wake-up call. If you always over-explained, over-apologized, or constantly tried to convince her of your intentions, you trained her to expect emotional babysitting. And when you suddenly stop doing that, she interprets it as emotional abandonment, when in reality, it's emotional maturity. A high-value man does not chase to prove himself. He doesn't break his silence just to ease her insecurity. He lets her question things. He lets her feel uncertain, because that's how she grows, and that's how she realizes what she had. So when she starts wondering if you were ever serious, understand this. That's not her moving on. That's her mind reaching for clarity, because your silence is louder than any "I love you" ever said. 6. She feels powerless, but won't show it. Here's a cold fact most men completely overlook. When you go silent, she loses control, and it drives her insane. Not outwardly, though. She'll act fine. She'll act unbothered. Maybe she'll post pictures like she's glowing and living her best life. But behind that front, something powerful is happening. She doesn't know where she stands with you anymore. And that loss of emotional control bothers her more than losing you ever did. You see, most women are used to having options. Attention. Men who keep trying. And if you've been that guy, always available, always chasing, she expected you to keep orbiting her even after things cooled off. But when you suddenly stop playing her game, when you don't reach out, when you don't watch her story, when you don't show signs of needing her, that's when the emotional tables turn. And yet, here's the twist. She won't show it. She won't admit it. Why? Because a woman's pride won't let her reveal that you're getting to her. She wants you to think she's unaffected, like your silence doesn't matter, like she's still in control. But inside, she's fighting the urge to check if you still care, fighting the urge to break the silence, fighting the truth that she can't manipulate your attention anymore. This is where many men break down. They take her silence as a sign she's over it. They panic, they cave, they reach out just to feel something. But listen closely. The strongest position a man can be in is the one where she feels powerless and he feels nothing. Not out of spite, not out of revenge, but because he understands this one fact. Her real power was never love. It was the illusion that you needed her more than she needed you. And once that illusion dies, so does her control. Stay silent, stay grounded, and never give her the satisfaction of knowing you were waiting. Because when a woman feels powerless in your absence, but you stay calm, she's not just thinking about you, she's haunted by you. 7. She tries to replace you, but it doesn't work. One of the first emotional reactions many women have when you go silent? They try to distract themselves. And often, that means looking for someone else to fill your space. It's not always physical. Sometimes it's attention, validation, flirtation, or emotional backup. But the goal is the same: to see if she can feel the same spark with someone new that she once felt with you. Why? Because women hate emotional gaps. They don't sit in silence like men do. They fill it. With noise, with friends, with attention, with options. So yeah, she might post selfies. She might flirt online. She might start going out more, hanging with guys she said were just friends. And if you're watching her closely, you'll be tempted to believe, she's over me. She replaced me like I was nothing. She's already moved on. But you'd be wrong. Because here's the truth. Replacements are just distractions with a fake name. She's not trying to love someone new. She's trying to forget how deeply she felt when she was with you. But it never works. Why? Because what you had wasn't just attention. It was emotional weight. And no amount of new flings or Instagram likes can mimic a connection that left a mark. In fact, the harder she tries to replace you quickly, the more obvious it becomes that she's not over it. Real moving on doesn't look loud, it looks peaceful. So when you see her forcing it, showing off a new guy, or acting suddenly too happy, remember this. If you were truly forgettable, she wouldn't need to prove anything. She wouldn't rush to fill your place. She wouldn't post for your attention. She wouldn't be trying to convince herself that she's fine. A high-value man knows this, and never reacts. Because while she's out there trying to feel something new, you've already done the most powerful thing. You gave her nothing, and nothing is what reminds her that what she lost was everything. 8. She obsessively checks your life. This is a classic move you'll notice if you pay attention. When you go silent, she can't help herself. She'll start watching everything you do. Not because she's moved on, but because her mind is stuck in the loop of what if. She'll check your social media, stories, friends' posts, anything that gives her a glimpse into your life. Why? Because she wants proof you're not just gone. She wants to see if you're thriving without her, or if you're miserable like she feels inside. But here's the catch. She doesn't want to admit this out loud. It's embarrassing for her, so she'll try to hide it, act like she doesn't care, or even make jokes about it with friends. Most men don't realize this behavior is one of the strongest signs she still thinks about you every day. The more she checks, the deeper her mind is tangled in the emotional pull you created. You don't have to do anything. Just let it be. Your silence is working, and her obsession is proof. 9. She feels confused. Wants you back, but feels hurt. This one is messy, but it's where many men lose control. During your absence, she feels two strong, conflicting emotions at the same time. She wants you back, but she's also hurt by your distance. She's angry that you walked away, confused why you stopped giving her attention, and scared about what it means for her. But deep down, she still craves the connection and comfort you provided. She wants the familiarity, even if she's mad. This confusion makes her unpredictable. She might send mixed signals, hot one minute, cold the next. She might try to reach out, then pull away. This emotional roller coaster is her way of wrestling with the truth. She fears losing you, but she's also protecting herself from pain. If you don't understand this, it's easy to get frustrated or chase harder, but that's exactly what kills your value. The best move? Stay calm. Stay steady. Let her confusion exist without feeding it. Because the man who remains unmoved during her emotional chaos is the one she'll eventually respect the most. 10. She starts reassessing her worth. You become her measure. When you step back and go silent, something unexpected happens inside her mind. She begins to rethink her own value. Not in a good way at first. She starts asking herself tough questions. Was I really worth his time? Did I lose something important? Am I enough? Here's the thing men rarely get. Women often measure their worth by the attention and respect they get from men they care about, especially from you. So when you disappear, her emotional balance tips. She goes from feeling wanted to feeling uncertain. That uncertainty sparks an internal crisis. She isn't just missing you. She's missing the validation you gave her, the feeling of being chosen, desired, important. Suddenly, you aren't just the guy. You become the standard, the yardstick by which she judges herself. And that's why she'll start comparing herself to other women, trying to figure out if someone else is better, smarter, more deserving. If she comes up short in her own mind, it hurts. But here's the twist. This process can be good, if she's willing to be honest with herself, because reassessing her worth means she's confronting her own flaws, insecurities, and mistakes. It's a moment where she either grows or stays stuck in denial. That's your opening. If you keep your distance and stay strong, you give her the space to really think about what she lost. Not just the good times, but what she could have had with a man who sets the rules. But don't get it twisted. This isn't about playing games or manipulation. It's about being a man who understands his value and lets her reflect on hers without interference. Many men panic here, rush to fix things, or flood her with messages. They try to remind her of their worth because they feel insecure. That's a mistake. A high-value man knows his worth doesn't depend on her recognition. He lets silence do the talking. He lets her do the work. Because when she starts reassessing her worth, and you don't scramble to prove yourself, you become the prize she can't stop chasing. You become the man who showed her that losing you was her biggest mistake. Here's the truth most men refuse to admit. Women don't miss you because they love you. They miss the power you gave them over their emotions. It's brutal, but it's real. When you disappear, you strip away their control. That's what makes them feel empty, confused, and restless. Not love, power. And the moment you understand this, everything changes. You stop chasing. You stop begging for attention. You become the calm in their storm, the prize they can't have but desperately want. If you've ever felt ignored, forgotten, or replaced, I want to hear from you. Comment below with your story. I'm not just here to teach. I'm here to connect, to understand your struggles, and to help you become the man who holds the power. Because this journey isn't about manipulation or games. It's about mastering yourself and knowing your worth, so she can't help but notice what she's lost. Drop your experiences in the comments. I'll be reading them and reaching out to those who want real change. Let's grow stronger together.